Well, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute
You
out
as
for the
well,
show
Joe.
today. Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. So let's begin our journey into your story. It's a fascinating one by asking you this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was changing our lives, changing so much about the way we all lived. How did you get through that time period, and how has it influenced the way that you live your life today?
With the pandemic?
Yeah.
Okay. You want me to tell you right now?
Oh, yeah. I was starting. Yeah, I can start again. That's my first question.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were recording.
Well, that's why I asked if you're ready. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. When I get in, it's a cardinal sin. If I don't hit record, it's bad. So I edit this, but yeah, I made sure to click the button and whenever you're ready, we can I'll do the intro again and we can hop in.
Yeah, I apologize for that. I was not ready for that.
Oh no, you're fine. Sometimes I move fast. So again, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out for the program today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on your show. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
You bet. So let's begin our journey into your fascinating story by asking you this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was changing our lives, doing so much to all of us. How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you live your life today?
Yeah, it's changed pretty much the world. I think we started to realize, well, at least with me, I started realizing that a lot of people were broken in many ways and they really needed each other. And human connection is like super important. And when you don't get that human connection, being able to talk to friends, especially if you've gone through a lot of traumatic events in your life, it escalates it even more. So yeah, when I wrote this book, I realized just how um, important humans connection really is and how much we need each other.
So, if I put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds right now, and it's career day at a school, and one of the kids wanted to know what you do on a daily basis for a living, how would you explain it?
Well, honestly, I'm just an author and I get on these podcasts and be able to talk to other individuals about the traumas in their life. I will even go to like schools and educate children with the experiences I've gone through because um, children, it's very vital at that age when they're 12 because they're going through puberty and they're trying to figure out who they are in life. And they get like chaotic messages from their peers. And I just kind of help them to see the strength in what they're, the trials that they go through as more of a strength so they can carry on their burdens and see it as something that's uplifting to other people and then themselves.
So let's get into your story. And to begin with your story, I want to ask, when you were 12, when you were young, what was your dream job? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I wanted to be a dentist.
Okay. Okay.
Because I loved working with teeth, and I thought like having different tools to look inside the mouth, making a patient's mouth clean, just helping them have that beautiful smile. Like, oh, that's what I want to be.
Right on. So did you grow up in Utah? Where are you originally from?
I am originally from India,
Okay.
and I was adopted and grew up in southern Utah.
So take me back to your childhood. What were the foundational elements that led you to put your story out to to help other people and to evolve to this point as a writer? How did that happen?
Yeah, so my was actually pretty tragic. At 3 years old, I tried to save my mother from a house fire while she was cooking. And my dad, he was drunk, passed out, unresponsive when I was trying to wake him up, letting him know, like, hey, my mom is in trouble. And he just wouldn't respond. So I felt like I needed to do the right thing. And it's just to grab my mom by the knee, and we both was caught on fire. And from that day on, I went to get to the hospital and they had to scrub my back and the debris of the fire that was meshed onto my skin. They had to remove it, but I didn't have any sort of medication. And that was super hard. Just feeling the pain and the scrubbing of them taking the burnt clothing off of my body. And then after that, I had to lay on this cot and just kind of like air dry and heal. And it was just a process. My mom, she was burned all over and she didn't survive after 3 days. And my dad stopped showing up. He stopped showing up to check up on me. And I think it was has to do with a lot of guilt that he went through as not being there for my mom and I when we were in this fire. And after I was released from the hospital, I was then paid respect to my mom. And then my dad rejected me and put me up for adoption. And I was then adopted into a family here in Utah. And everything was good except for my adopted mother was emotionally, physically, um, mentally abusive to some of us kids. And she had adopted 14 children. And so I started my life really hard, going from like just always being kicked down and not feeling like I'm seen or wanted in this world, but it's forcing myself to always look at the positive and just keep rising. So I use my story as a way to help other people to look at their journey as something that's gonna be helping other people because my story is actually helping other people to look at themselves and do self-reflection of becoming a better version of themselves. So I titled the book Strength of Scars because we all have scars in our life. It doesn't only apply to like myself, it applies to every single person, internal scars, uh, physical scars. We all carry some sort of scars and it can be relatable.
So, in the realm of writing, who was an inspirational author or a book that you read early on that gave you the idea that you might want to write your story and put it out into the world?
Um, I would say Deepak Chopra. He really was one when I was going through my healing journey, being able to self-reflect in myself, and then you can't hold um, internal damages within yourself. You have to purge it out. Yeah, I would say that he really did help me to recognize that, um, to help me to start writing my own book.
So, who was an inspirational force, kind of a hero in your life that allowed you to get through all of these tough times and to get to a point where you've written a book and you're changing lives?
Yeah, so I would say my dad, um, it's he was an inspiration to me from the get-go. My adopted dad, he actually did not want to adopt all of us kids. He was against it, and I think a lot of it was because he had adopted three other boys, and they kind of went through similar abuse that I had went through. And he's just a very kind, loving person that many people gravitated towards him because of his loving nature. And he provided that love and encouragement to me as a young child. And I just kept, and he just, I was always confident in me, and it was always encouraged me to keep moving and always uplifting me. And having that at an early age kind of really helped me to become the person that I am. Because if I didn't have that, I probably would not be able to talk about my story.
So, how long had you been thinking about writing this story? How long had you thought about it? And then when did you actually do it? How long has this process taken for you to write the book?
So I've, I've come across a lot of people throughout my life that would hear my story and they would say, "Hey, you need to write this story, you need to write this book." I never really cared for that, even when I was younger. I'm like, nah, I don't want to. I'll just like like I didn't realize like my story was special and how it would help other people, even at that young age. But it was very personable, and I didn't really care for other people to know about it. Um, and it was so when I got married, and I was pregnant with my first child, I think that was the key point when I realized, like, hey, there's something here. And during my healing process, I started writing a lot of letters. I started writing what happened in my past as a form of healing. So that's something like Deepak had mentioned is, hey, you need to write things down and purge that out of you. And so that's what I did. And I went through this process of forgiveness. And it wasn't until a few years later um, that I kind of realized, hey, this could be a book that could be written. My story could be a book. I it was like it didn't take long and it was easier to recognize how to write this book because I didn't have pent-up energy anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I was able to write the book in a way that wasn't full of hatred.
So what is it when the alarm clock goes off in the morning? What is it that gets you out of bed to do the work that you're doing, changing lives, writing, living your life, protecting yourself? What is that for you every day?
Um, I I think it's just knowing that like I can help make an impact on somebody else. And if I just show up, then I'm showing up for somebody. It doesn't necessarily mean that I know the person that I'm going to show up for because you never know who you're going to show up for. And just having that faith in the idea of that somebody needs to hear this message of healing and growth and um, just movement I that's kind of motivates me because I know how it feels to stay stuck. I know how it feels to feel like you're alone and staying in bed and being depressed and not feel like you are worth something. But after going through this process of healing, I recognize that me showing up for just a random person is worth it to me because it still is like healing and comforting for myself and rewarding.
So what has been one of the best fan letters you've gotten? One of the best responses from someone reading your book?
So I got a letter from somebody that said, "Hey, what you went through similar is exactly what I had went through. I never had the voice to talk about it because I was afraid of what people would think of me, and so I never said anything." And so pretty much in sense, they just said, "Hey, thank you for being that voice for the person that I cannot be." So it's just it really does give people strength.
So let's say you had a dream tonight. You ran into the 18-year-old version of you and you had a book in your hands, like a coffee table book, and you handed it over and it was your life, how your life has turned out. Would that young version of you believe it?
You know what? I think so. Because just having like a book, seeing a book at that age, because at 18, you're kind of setting yourself into new territories, becoming an adult, you're taking responsibility of paying bills and stuff like that. And so seeing that there is a book in front of you that you had written, man, I think it would be an inspirational for me, and I would probably be going a different direction of like positive mindset and just it would be a motivation.
So, of everything that you've accomplished and done at this point in your life, what are you ultimately the proudest of?
Um, I think I would say writing that book. It is my it was really hard in many ways and it showed a lot of strength within myself that I didn't see. And I think the reward is meeting wonderful people that's been inspired by it.
That's the other question I have too. When you have to recount and go through all of those memories that are traumatic, how did you do it? Did it take you a while to go through it, or did you run through it and go back and kind of refine it? How did you get through actually having to relive that in the book?
Yeah, so I think during the time when I recognized that I was abused and I needed to heal, that's when I purged a lot of my past onto paper. I saved it on Google Docs and I would just type, 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 type. And I wrote letters that I was going to send to my mother. And the letters weren't nice. They were angry, they were sad, but I never sent them. They were just for me, and I just purged them out. So when I hit a phase where I wasn't being triggered by my past and I wasn't giving my powers to my mom, that is when I realized I could just write this story and not be triggered. And I did write. I went back to some of my notes just to see like where I was at and the growth I went through. And yeah, I just got to that point where I just wrote and I just kept writing and it just flowed.
Yeah. So it was released on November 3rd.
So the paperback was released on November 3rd.
Okay.
Um, but it was originally released in May.
So what was it like when you actually got the box with all the books in it? You saw that it happened and it was in your hands. What was that like?
It just kind of felt surreal. Like I actually did this, and I really liked the look of the cover, and I was there was a lot of gratitude towards it, and it was just it's a sense of accomplishment.
So the cover is very alluring. Who did the cover?
So we just hired somebody. We kind of gave him an idea of like what we wanted. And my daughter is actually that girl on there. Um,
Okay.
but I asked him like, hey, I want an Indian version. Could you make her look like she has a sari and just make her look more Indian? Yeah, he did a great job.
That has to be amazing to have her on it and feel like it's kind of a full circle moment.
Yeah, it really is, and she's really proud of it. I'm really proud of her. She really represents that little girl as myself when I was that age, and no, it's just really neat to see that it's not only my work, but my daughter is part of it too.
So I know you're in the middle of promoting and this is the focal point, but are you thinking about writing more? What's your next plan?
Yeah, so I have actually written one, two, three different books now, and just waiting. I'm just waiting for the right timing because even with this book, I had to wait for the right timing where I felt like it was okay to publish. But yeah, they're already set to go. I have a couple of people editing those other books, and we'll see when that time comes. I'll release them.
Excellent. So of everyone out there has a perception of you. Family, friends, everyone that gets your book, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
You know, I think I'm a survivor, and I think that I'm just an individual, just a child of God, just like everybody else. I'm no like special from anyone else. It's just I'm just sharing my story, and it's a traumatic story. And when I look at myself, and I look back, I just can't believe I went through that.
Yeah.
So I would say survival, resilient, and also compassion.
So if anybody wants to pick up a copy, they want to reach out to you, any of the other good business in your world, where do they go?
Yeah, so you can get a copy on like Amazon. If you want like the first two chapters to kind of get like a little idea of what the book is about, I offer a couple free chapters on my website at www.avonleylightstone.com. And you can also follow me on social media at Avonley Lightstone.
Wonderful. This has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Best of luck with the release. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Joe. It's been an honor being on your show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.